Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the stream, or welcome to the video if you're watching it later. So today I'm doing a Microsoft Flight Simulator video. Bit unusual for me, not really something I've done a lot of in the past, so I'm a massive beginner. But I did notice an aircraft that I wanted to share some bits and pieces with everybody about. It's part of the Top Gun download content that you can get for free from within Microsoft Flight Simulator. Within that, there's an aircraft called the Darkstar. Now, the Darkstar, I think it's from the latest Top Gun film. And within the game, and I think within the film as well, it can do Mach 10. But I noticed that it's actually a very specific procedure to make it do it. And some people don't know how it works. So I wanted to just kind of do a quick video. I say a quick video, might be 10-15 minutes, where I go through getting the plane off the ground, what you have to do, and the process you have to follow to be able to actually get it to Mach 10 plus. So, like I said, experimental Darkstar. It's part of the Top Gun content that you can download within the game, and I think it's free. Like I said, if I remember rightly. So. Select that aircraft. In terms of departing, I'm actually going to depart from one of the space shuttle landing runways in Florida. So I'm going to set that as my departure. And just to cheat a little bit, I'm going to make sure that it's nice and bright and easy from there. Now, I am, like I said, a proper beginner. I'm using a controller, so on and so forth. But let's set that to fly so it kind of loads in. But I'm going to talk through some bits and pieces. So it's why it's not going to be a 1 minute video saying do this, and away you go. It's going to be for people like myself who've only very recently joined the game, and I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. So when this loads in, one of the things you will notice on the heads-up display is that, let's just click ready to fly. One of the things you'll notice is that in the bottom left, and it's the same with most aircraft, but in the bottom left you've got effectively power outputs for your engines. And this particular aircraft is showing 4 of them. One of the big questions that you always come across is how do you get engine 3 and 4 to work? That's because in normal flight, they don't actually work. They don't turn on. And this is always the first, or should I say, the major hurdle. So we'll go into that in a bit more detail. For now, let's get the aircraft off the ground and in the air. So I'm going to release the parking brake, go to full power. And you'll notice, despite the fact there's movement on all of the engines, only engines 1 and 2 actually power up. But look, let's get this up into the air. So now your number one aim when you get the aircraft off the ground is to gain altitude. Kind of makes sense. But you actually want to gain, effectively, quite a bit of altitude. Let's put the landing gear away. And now continue to climb. Now this aircraft, to be at its peak, actually is designed to fly really high. So let's get this going.
Tower Experimental Alpha Sierra Delta Kilo Sierra frequency change.
Right, there we go. As this continues to climb, for those again who are fairly new, in the bottom left there'll be an M number. So right in the bottom left hand corner, hopefully you can see it on screen, it's showing that I'm doing M 0.98, so 0.98 or just under Mach 1, Mach 1 being the speed of sound. Now, we're only at just over 6,000 feet. The aircraft is going to be limited in terms of its speed because of a lower altitude. The atmosphere is thicker and it can't go as fast. It's one of the important parts about being able to go Mach 10. You're going to have to be quite high up because you're not going to do that in a thicker atmosphere. So we're going to continue to gain altitude here. Now the big thing here is you need to make sure you get the aircraft over Mach 3. I'll come back to why that's important shortly. Now, for those of you who've already tried to do this and been unsuccessful, you'll probably say it's quite easy to get it above Mach 3, but there comes the problem: it sticks at that speed. Let me show you what I mean. Let's get it up to speed, continue to kind of grow. Should I say gain altitude?
134.0 experimental Delta Kilo Sierra. Goodbye. Jacksonville Center Experimental Alpha Sierra Delta Kilo Sierra 15,400 feet.
Experimental Alpha Sierra Delta Kilo Sierra Jacksonville Center altimeter 29.92 radar contact continue. Jacksonville Center Delta 1755 Heavy is passing flight level 350 descending flight level 340. Delta 1755 Heavy Jacksonville Center radar contact continue to TYFTR.
as the radio's quieting down now. We're continuing to gain altitude. We're over 25,000 feet. One thing I would say is take a note of how the engines look as well at the moment. Those glowing orange engines. We'll come back to that a little bit later, but we're still under Mach 1, continuing to gain altitude though. Now what some people will do to get it above that kind of important Mach 3 is they will gain altitude and then go into a gentle dive to increase speed, gain altitude again and go into a gentle dive, which I probably will do when we hit about 35,000 feet. So let's see where we're at. Okay, let's bring that nose down a bit and see if we can get a bit more speed.
Jacksonville Center, American 857 Heavy is at flight level 350, descending flight level 340. American 857 Heavy, Jacksonville Center, radar contact, continue.
You'll notice the sound of the aircraft will disappear in a minute. And that's because we're travelling faster than the speed of sound, meaning the sound is behind the aircraft. It also produces another effect, which I'll show you. Bring this nose back up because we should be at a high enough height that we continue to gain speed. We're at Mach 1.46 and you'll notice the sound of the aircraft is now gone. If I move behind, you should hear a sonic boom. There it is. Continue to grow. We're aiming towards that elusive Mach 3 plus.
Traffic is 7 o'clock 4 miles at flight level 370 Airbus A20N. Report them in sight. Jacksonville Center, American 874 Heavy is passing flight level 370, descending flight level 350.
Got over Mach 2.
American 874 Heavy, Jacksonville Center. Delta 1755 Heavy, have the traffic.
Brought the nose up a bit because I want to get a lot more altitude now. Okay, Mach 2.5. .8, and there we go. We're over the 3.
Delta Kilo Sierra contact Jacksonville Center on 134.4. Good day.
We're continuing to gain altitude really quickly now. Now what you're going to notice is the speed is going to stop climbing around 3.64, 6364, that sort of area. And for many that then becomes a ceiling, and they kind of then start realising, hold on, engines 3 and 4 are not enabled. Now those engines are the scramjets. So what we now need to do is go into back inside the aircraft. And you'll notice here it says scram enabled, should I say. But before you do that, you need to look down here to the right of the joystick, and you'll notice these 4 little buttons that say fuel cell. Make sure you click on those to enable them, and then all we have to do is lift the cover, and in a second I'll turn on the scramjet. If you aren't at a high enough altitude or high enough speed, when you turn on the scramjet you're just going to get a constant beeping alarm and it won't enable. So listen out for that alarm when I turn it on, because when I turn it on you will get the alarm for a few seconds, but then it should enable the scramjet. Let's do it. And there they fire. Now remember I told you about the engines on the back?
Good day.
You can see how the engines are changing in the way they look.
Experimental Delta Kilo Sierra. Goodbye. Jacksonville Center, Experimental Alpha Sierra Delta Kilo Sierra flight level 855.
There we go, we're over Mach 4.7.
Jacksonville Center radar contact continue.
Well over Mach 5. Now this is as we now continue the race up to Mach 10. Gaining altitude all the time to get to a thinner atmosphere. Mach 7 already. Now I must admit, I don't always necessarily succeed. It sometimes caps out about Mach 9.8. If you get it right, then it will go over 10. As it continues to climb though, you'll notice the aircraft's now going red hot. Even though we're at a higher altitude, the resistance of the atmosphere is actually causing it to heat up. I love the detail in this game, it's incredible. What you'll also notice as well is that from the height we're at, you can actually notice the curvature of the Earth. So this is normal. We reached about Mach 9.5. To begin with now, it starts to lose speed, and it always does this for some reason. But as we continue to grow and we get to that, shall I say, continue to climb and get to that higher altitude, the speed will start going back up again. Just reducing the climb a little bit to encourage that back up. Okay. It's going to start climbing again. Right, fingers crossed everybody. This is us. Let's get us to Mach 10 plus. Just about to go over 180,000 feet. Back over Mach 9. So I'm just constantly watching that speed. Mach 9.2. Yeah, we're climbing at a decent rate now. Over 200,000 feet. 9.8. Come on, over Mach 10. Let's do this. And there we go. We've achieved Mach 10. Let's allow that to continue to climb. 10.04, 5, 6, and there you have it. We're over Mach 10. The aircraft is glowing, huge amounts of speed, but that's how you do it. Hopefully that's useful to somebody. Like I said, the major things to remember is make sure that you get it over Mach 3 on the standard engines before you enable the scramjets. As I said with the scramjets before, make sure you turn on the fuel cell before trying to enable them, otherwise they won't work. And then just continue to gain altitude so you get a thinner atmosphere and get these sort of speeds. I hope that's been useful. Comments, questions, stick them below. If it has been useful, please like the video, subscribe. I appreciate you spending the time to come and watch little old me try and do this as a beginner, and hopefully there's some more content coming soon. Thanks very much everyone.